If you could change one decision from your past, I wonder what it would be. If you could go back in time and change one thing that you decided to do, one thing that has led to consequences that you're living with today, I wonder what you would change. What would you decide to do differently if you had your time again? Well, one of the greatest films in the world is all about time travel and consequences and actions, and it's not E.T., it is Back to the Future. Now, if you've never seen Back to the Future, here's a bit of homework. I never do homework, but here's your thought bubble homework. Go and watch Back to the Future, because it is a great film. Now, a lot of the decisions that the characters make in that film have huge consequences. If you've never seen it before, here's basically, without any spoilers, here's basically what happens. You have Marty McFly, who's a cool teenage high school guy, and Doc Brown, who's his scientist buddy who is mad and crazy and wonderful. Doc Brown creates out of a car, a DeLorean, a time machine. And Marty McFly accidentally travels back in time 30 years and meets his parents when they were younger, before they got married, before Marty had even been born. But as I say, the film is littered with decisions that have huge consequences. Firstly, Doc Brown invents the time machine, but it only runs on plutonium, which is a nuclear chemical thingy, which is quite bad. And the way he gets it is by stealing it from terrorists. Bad consequences, as you can imagine. Marty, trying to escape the terrorists, then jumps into the time machine and drives away and accidentally travels back in time. Bad consequences. He meets his parents, George and Lorraine, before they even knew each other. And on the day when they were meant to meet and fall in love, Marty intervenes and gets in the way, and they stop falling in love. Bad consequences. Now, Marty tries to change things and get them together and intervene and improve things, but he fumbles it and makes mistakes and shows off a little bit and gets in the way. And his decisions have bad consequences. Now, George and Lorraine, from Marty's time in the present, which is 1985, in the present, George and Lorraine, their lives, they're kind of built upon missed opportunities. Both of them, out of fear of rejection, out of their own insecurities, they didn't go for it in life. They didn't get the best out of life. They didn't make the decisions they really wanted. They just kind of sat back and let life go by. And that led to bad consequences. Now, I won't spoil how the film ends, but Marty and Doc Brown from the past eventually fix the timeline and create an even better future than the one Marty left originally. But if there's one thing that you and I can take from this film, one thing that you and I can learn and put into our lives, it's this: actions have consequences. Actions have consequences. Now, they might be big actions, they might be small actions. They might be good actions, they might be bad actions. But whatever they are, they will always have consequences. The consequences might be big, they might be small, they might be good, they might be bad. But one thing is certain: actions have consequences. Now, the Bible tells us exactly that. Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 to 8 says this: a person reaps what they sow. Stop there a second. What does that mean? Reaping, sowing? Well, If I go out into a field and I sow some seed that is, think of a seed. I can't think of any seed. Let's make one up. Muffin seed. Well, imagine if that existed. Muffin seed. Let's say I go into the field and sow some muffin seed and I plant that. What is gonna grow? What am I gonna reap? Am I gonna reap donuts? No. Cookies? Pizza? No. I'm gonna reap muffins. I've sown muffin seed, so I'm gonna reap muffins. That's what happens. If we sow something, we're gonna reap from that thing. So therefore, if I sow and plant good things today, I'm gonna reap good things tomorrow. But if I sow and plant bad things today, bad consequences are gonna come. And the verses carry on and say that. Whoever sows to please their desires will reap destruction. But whoever sows to please the Spirit will reap eternal life. So there will be some decisions you are making today that you do to please your own desires. Decisions that you make to please yourself. But they're not the wisest thing to do. They're not the greatest thing to do. So some of you skip lesson when you don't want to go. Some of you vape when you don't know how to cope. Some of you go on websites and look at certain things on your phone that you know you shouldn't be looking at. Some of you see people struggling and you just kind of leave them. You don't do anything to help. Some of you have talents and abilities that are amazing and you do nothing with them. We make these decisions today that have an effect on our future. They lead to consequences. And so the things that we're sowing today, that is what we're going to do. Surprise. It's me. Confused? Well, let me explain. The guy in there is me from yesterday. He's me from the past. I've come back in time one day to talk a little bit about consequences that he forgot about. Because while our actions today can have consequences tomorrow, and while it's so important to think about how we're living our lives and the consequences that my actions are going to bring from the rest of my life, the Bible tells us that as well as that, my actions today have consequences for the rest of eternity. My actions today have consequences for even after I die. Yeah, they're important here on earth, but they're also important after earth. See, here's how it is. The Bible tells me, and the Bible tells you, that our actions that aren't good, the ones that are sinful, the unwise things, the unkind things, the things where we forget about God, we forget about other people, and we just please ourselves, those actions, those desires, those thoughts, the Bible calls it sin, and sin has a consequence. And the consequence for sin is God's judgment. It's God's punishment against me and against you. And it's as if our consequence for sin, that punishment, it's like a fixed point in time. So we've set in motion a timeline where this fixed point in our future is punishment for sin. Where there is sin, God has to punish. So this punishment has to happen. There's nothing we can do to escape it. There's no good deeds I can now do to make that consequence go away. It is a fixed point in time. It has to happen. So then where's the hope? Where's the hope for you and I? What can we do? Well, we can't do a thing. And that is exactly why God sent Jesus. Jesus was the greater Marty McFly. Jesus came into the timeline and he paid the debt that you and I deserve, the debt that we should owe. Jesus came into time from heaven. He stepped onto earth, God in human form, and he lived perfectly. He never did anything that deserved a bad consequence. Everything he did was perfect. And so he went to the cross and died the death of a sinner. That fixed point in time where a punishment had to be paid for, Jesus was the one who paid it. It happened. A punishment was dealt out, but it wasn't you and I. It was Jesus who took it for us. If we simply trust him to do it. And so here's our timeline that we've set in motion for our sin. Jesus has come so we can switch, so he can alter that timeline and take us in a whole new direction. He fixes everything so that we don't end up with that bad consequence because he's already paid for it. He sets us on a new timeline now where the end, for me, the end point is no longer my punishment from God. That's never going to happen anymore. The end point for me now on this new timeline is heaven. Heaven. He gives that as a gift. I can't earn heaven. You can't earn heaven. No matter what good we do, we can never do it. So God decided to buy it for us and give it for us as a gift. That is the greatest piece of news that I think exists in all of time and all of the universe. That is the greatest message there is. That despite our bad actions, our bad thoughts, our bad desires, our bad consequence for that can be paid for fully by Jesus if we simply believe that he's good enough to do it. And that, out of every other piece of good news that there can be, that is the greatest thing. Greater than any story, any movie, any hero. Jesus is the greatest. Now then, let's see where past me is up to. Now it's really important that he doesn't see me because we don't want to cause any sort of weird timey-wimey paradoxy thing. Let's have a look where he's up to. So that is your challenge for today. Think about all of the different ways that you... Oh no, this is bad. Wait, who are you? Well, funny story actually. Put that down. Okay. It's down. What are you doing here? I'm kind of from the future. You're from the future? Yeah, but it's fine. I can be here, don't worry. Well, you've just made a paradox by being here. Of course you can't be here. Oh, what's the worst that'll happen? I'm gonna fade now, aren't I? Come on. Well, I didn't see that coming. How did I not see that coming? Where was he up to? Past me. Where was he up to? Consequences. Of course. Actions have consequences. Now, think about your life, right? Think about all of the actions and the decisions that you are making today. What consequences are they leading to? What future are you writing for yourself right now? Because the way you're living is leading in one way or another. What actions are you taking now that you need to stop because they're leading to bad consequences? What actions now do you need to continue because they're leading to great consequences? What is the future that you are writing for yourself, both now here on earth and the future after earth? Past me found out the hard way. Actions have consequences. Just hope I don't start to fade. Oh, okay. See you next time, I guess.